Insulation of buildings is nowadays the most frequent solution to saving heat energy, both in residential houses and in industrial or administrative centres. By reducing heat losses, there's therefore a lower requirement of heat input and thus a saving in heating costs. Furthermore, the use of overcladding not only gives the whole structure a new appearance, but also an extended service life. The whole structure is thus upgraded. For the insulation system to fulfill its function, special aluminium and PVC profiles, anchor components, and reinforcing glass fibre mesh are needed. All these components play an important part in the system, and besides helping to overcome various obstacles and complex details, the profiles also play an aesthetic role. The use of these components not only makes your work easier, but also more effective. Our core activities consist of the manufacture and sale of profiles intended for thermal protection systems for buildings. Since 1994, we've focused on the development and manufacture of profiles for external thermal insulation contact systems, designated ETICS. With a production output of millions of meters of strips monthly, we've become the biggest manufacturer of such profiles in this country. We not only supply the Czech market, but also export our products to 20 other European countries. We apply the most progressive technologies in manufacturing. All profiles are made of high-quality aluminium alloy or of alkali-proof plastic. The whole product range, both for the insulation systems and for dry construction, meet the very rigorous criteria of the modern building industry and have been certified by the State Testing Laboratory. The complete production process is subject to strict inspections and testing to conform with the ISO 9001-2001 quality management system. The products also meet requirements of EU technical norms. Thanks to their high quality, our products have become an integral part of a high number of certified insulation systems used by renowned home and European suppliers. Let us take this family house for example, to show how our profiles should be used correctly in the whole insulation system. You can also see how these profiles will ease your work. At first, we will inspect the structure with the aid of photos taken by a thermal camera. These images will reveal all drawbacks of the external structure and show all heat leaks and emissions from the house. Finally, we can compare the first thermal camera photos with those made after the external insulation is completed. The base profile LO, also designated as the plinth profile, is used to create a level starting point for laying the insulation material. The corner base profile is made by scoring a 90-degree angle in the middle, snapping off the scored part, and then bending the profile into a right angle. The base profiles are anchored to the wall by hammer-driven anchors spaced from 30 to 50 centimeters apart. The profiles are interconnected by means of special connection units. To prevent profile deformation due to rough brickwork, special spaces of different thicknesses are used for assembly. The base profile closes the system and at the same time serves as protection from mechanical damage. The drip ledge at the end of the profile guarantees safe drain off of rainwater from the system, thus preventing capillary action under the insulating material. To create a solid connection of the base profile with the insulating material and perfect water drain off from the system, a PVC drip ledge with mesh is used. The profile is clamped onto the aluminium base profile, and after inserting the insulation material, the mesh is troweled over. In this way we obtain a firm connection between the base profile and the insulating material, completely eliminating the possibility of any cracks. The larger profile of the plastic drip ledge increases its efficiency when draining water out of the system. Where the aluminium base profile cannot be used for system installation and water drain off, for example on a plinth with differing insulation material thicknesses, or in the case of passive houses, a plastic LT profile with invisible drip ledge is used. This profile is inserted into the pre-laid bonding agent and troweled over afterwards. The invisible drip ledge guarantees that the water will drain out of the system. The profile not only trims the system aesthetically, but at the same time also protects it from mechanical damage. When the base profiles are fixed, we can start bonding the insulation material, polystyrene in this particular case. This operation is preceded by impregnating the surface to which the insulation will be applied with a suitable agent recommended by the sealing compound manufacturer. In order for the insulation to be laid and bonded correctly, the corner insulation panels have to be cut to the appropriate lengths. The sealing compound has to be applied to the insulation material, not just to the surface to which it will be fixed, and definitely not to the contact sides. The same rule also applies for corner insulation. The polystyrene is bonded onto the brickwork with the sealing compound applied to the edges of the material and in 2 or 3 dabs. Such gluing eliminates thermal bridges between the insulation panels and prevents movement when anchoring. The polystyrene is then levelled off using a spirit level. When bonding the insulation around windows or doors, the insulation material may not overlap the jamb edges. The corner of the aperture must be cut from a single insulation board. 2 panels should never be used for a corner. The amount of overlap is determined by the frame width. Any unevenness of the glued insulation material is removed by sanding down. Possible gaps less than 1 cm between individual panels are filled with foam. Larger gaps have to be filled with inserted polystyrene strips. Finally, we glue pre-cut polystyrene strips onto the jamb to meet up with the insulated area. When insulating the windows, adequate free space must be left at the bottom of the jamb for later windowsill seating. To achieve a solid and at the same time expandable connection between the window frame and the plaster, a trimming profile has to be used. In our case, we will mount Katnick type profiles. Remove the protective sheet from the window frame and clear the window of any glue or grease. Cut the profile to the requested length, remove the covering sheeting from the expansion strip and glue it onto the window frame. This type is suitable for narrower frames or door frames and is bonded only after the jamb is insulated. The protective plate adheres to the frame perfectly, thus protecting the expansion strip from weather conditions and from dirt collecting there. The mesh on the trimming profile has the necessary 10 cm overlap for system reinforcement. If the mesh overlap on the corner profile is chosen correctly, the glass fibre mesh strip on the jamb will not be needed. This type is also glued onto the window or door frame only after the insulation material has been fixed onto the jamb. Remove the covering sheet of the expansion strip and glue it close to the polystyrene. This is suitable for narrower frames. The double reinforcement layer at the place of maximum load is considered to be its main strength. It is also suitable for coloured frames because plaster is trimmed only close to the bottom profile edge and the whole profile will thus be covered. Unlike with the preceding trim profiles, this type is glued onto the window or door frame before the insulation material is glued onto the surround. According to the thickness of the polystyrene, it is necessary to measure the place where the panel will be glued to the frame. Once again, the covering is removed from the foam expansion strip and the profile glued onto the frame. Only then can the carefully pre-cut polystyrene strip be glued onto the surround. This window trim profile is suitable for wider window or door frames. It is also suitable for coloured frames. These trim profiles also play a protective role. They prevent the window or door frame from scratching, and the plastic sheet glued onto the plates protects the window from pollution. Investment in window protection is materially lower than possible replacement of the damaged window glazing or frame in the worst cases. Butt or mitre joints cut at an angle of 45 degrees are applied at the corners of all window trim profile types. We do not recommend connecting vertical window trim profiles to prevent humidity getting under the insulation material. This is why trim profiles are produced in a variety of lengths. By using these, we can not only achieve a solid and at the same time expandable connection between the window frame and the plaster, but also prevent the occurrence of hairline cracks and separation of the plaster from the window or door frame. Last but not least is the aesthetic contribution this insulation makes. Corner or combined profiles made of aluminium or plastic are necessary for reinforcing corners, edges, window and door jambs in the contact insulation system. They also prevent the creation of hairline cracks. The profiles are inserted into the pre-laid ceiling compound and then troweled in. A 10 cm mesh overlap must be maintained in all cases. LK profiles intended for door and window surrounds are therefore manufactured not only with the standard 10 cm overlap, but also with mesh overlaps of 15, 23 and 30 cm. The plastic window profile LT with its invisible drip ledge is manufactured for the protection of corners where vertical and water drainage must also be provided. After laying the ceiling compound and the plaster, the plastic drip ledge will no longer be visible. Use of the plastic window profile VLT with the visible drip ledge is another possible alternative. These profiles are very important in the contact insulation system because they prevent capillary action on the top window lining, thus preventing plaster pop-out during the winter period. To prevent the occurrence of hairline cracks in places with heavy wear, for example external window corners, these places have to be reinforced diagonally using a mesh of a minimum of 20 by 30 cm in size. Internal corners are reinforced by inserting a fiberglass mesh strip of the same width as the door or window surround. It is advisable to shape the mesh to the right angle in advance.